Hello, Sat Shri Akal ji. My name is Ravneet Kaur. I chose a nice spot in my garden, which is a little green as compared to the rest of my garden, because the summers were very harsh for us and half of the garden is actually dead or drying. And I've lost a few plants, like there's an avocado plant over there which is almost dead. So this video is going to be about pots. So whether you should buy the cement pots or the terracotta clay pots, or you should go in for the grow bags, or you should go in for the ceramic pots or the plastic ones. So what pot is good for what location? So we are going to discuss the pros and cons of pots which are available from Amazon and nurseries in this video. And hopefully by the end of this video you should be able to decide what kind of pot do you want for your garden. So without further ado, let's start this video. So I'm going to start with something which I got for free. These are paint buckets. So in every household we usually have a few left over after the paint work is done. So just if you have some paint buckets, these make for very sturdy planters. So I've been growing cauliflower, I've been growing cabbages, brinjals. So I've been growing a lot of vegetables in them. I've also been composting in my paint buckets. So if you think of using them, just poke holes around the sides and a few holes at the bottom. So about 4 to 5 holes around the sides and 4 to 5 holes at the bottom, and that should take care of the drainage. Now these paint buckets are very sturdy. They make for really good containers, especially when we are doing vegetable gardening, and these are 4 to 5 years old and they're still going strong. Now if you know of any place which deals in scrap matter, you can actually get your hands on these drums, and they make for excellent containers for bigger plants. So if you see all the plants on my terrace, all the lime, lemon plants and the other fruiting plants, they are in these drums, and the capacity is really good. So I can put in a lot of soil and compost into these drums. And again, if you are using them, just take care to poke holes around the sides and at the bottom, again for better drainage. Now my favorite pots for any plant should be the terracotta pot. This is terracotta. Please don't confuse terracotta with cement. This is a cement pot. The bigger one at the back is also a cemented pot. They're just painted in the terracotta color. So these are terracotta pots and they're very porous. So the entire pot is made up of porous material. And if you have the tendency to overwater your plants, go in for a terracotta pot. Now the only downside to a terracotta pot which I think of is that they're very heavy. So if you want to move them around, that's a task. With the weight of the pot and then the weight of the soil, this pot gets really heavy and it gets tough to move around. So if you have a space wherein you have to keep your plants permanently and you don't want to move them around a lot, these pots are great, and they also look very aesthetic and they have this vintage kind of a feel to them. Now another disadvantage to a terracotta pot is that it can break very easily. So if you have a terrace like me, and if you have a taller plant, and if this somehow topples over, which happens pretty often, the pot will break. So it is breakable. Also, this pot is a little pricier as compared to the plastic one. So if a plastic pot this size would be a 200 or a 300 rupees, this would be slightly more expensive, maybe a 500 rupees. So you'll have to find the right seller and you'll have to find the right spot if you want to buy a large number of terracotta pots, because they can get a little pricey. So if there's one pot which I really don't like, it's the cement pot. They're very hard to move around and they're very heavy. I also don't find them to be very porous. So they kind of hold water more as compared to the terracotta ones. These are old pots, so I have never bought cement pots. So whatever old pots were lying here, I've used them, but I won't ever actually get a cement pot again. Another pretty common pot that we usually get in the markets are the plastic pots. So these are plastic pots. I planted rain lilies in them, and the white ones that you see at my back, they're also plastic pots. Now there are another plastic pots. These are the nursery plastic pots. These are cheaper than the fancier ones, but again they're the same material. These are the nursery pots. That's how they're called, the growers pots, and these are the fancy pots. So now plastic pots have an average price point. They are pretty affordable as compared to the ceramic ones or the terracotta ones. So these are pretty affordable. They're also sturdy. So when you're buying your plastic pots, please check the material and then you can go in for plastic pots. But again, at the end of the day, these are made up of plastic. They are not very porous. So when we compare them with grow bags or we compare them with terracotta pots, plastic pots aren't very porous. Will I ever buy plastic pots for my vegetable garden? I don't think so, but I will buy the nursery pots, because I usually use the nursery pots as inners for my the bamboo pots, or as an inner pot for my ceramic ones. That's how I use plastic pots. But will I be buying more plastic pots for my terrace garden, for my vegetable garden? I don't think so. I also wanted to add that plastic pots aren't as heavy as terracotta or the cement pots, and this one has wheels at the bottom, and that was one reason why I actually bought it. So it was easy to move it around. So there are times when it rains heavily, or there are times when a particular area gets a lot of harsh sunlight and you want to move the pot but you can't. So that is when the mobility of a pot comes into play, and this is pretty mobile, and I can actually do it on my own, so all the lifting and hard work. So I consider these things to be important too. So this here is my grow bag corner. So all of the plants here are growing in grow bags, and they grow wonderfully. So if you want to grow vegetables, you can buy grow bags, and you can grow all sorts of vegetables, say cauliflower, cabbages, broccoli, tomatoes, chilies, peppers, haldi, there's brinjal over here. So you can grow everything in a grow bag. So these fabric grow bags are great. They are well draining, and they are made up of porous material, and they are also not very heavy on the pocket. But a downside which I find to grow bags is that they start looking a little ugly after maybe a few months or a few years of use. So you start to see some kind of mold and soil all over the grow bag. And again, it's okay if you're somebody like me and you're gardening on a terrace, so you don't really care about how the grow bag looks. Also, grow bags, they tend to get very heavy. So if I were to pick and kind of move them around, they're very heavy. They're like sacks of soil. Would you, when you think about moving sacks of soil, they are pretty heavy. So consider that. Especially I bought grow bags which were big in size. So I have one which is 16 into 18 inches, 16 by 16 or 18 by 18. That's like pretty wide, and that gets really heavy to move around, and I need two people to move that around. So when you're buying a grow bag, please consider its size. So a 12 by 12 is okay, a 14 by 14 is again okay, but when you go in for a larger grow bag, please consider that it's going to be very difficult to move around. So I'd just like to talk to you about my ceramic pots. I don't have the bigger ones on my terrace, because again, they're very heavy to move around. I use ceramic pots only for my indoors. The smaller ones are here, and ceramics, they hold a lot of water. So I understand they look good and they're very beautiful to look at, but they hold a lot of water. So whenever you're making soil for your ceramics, please consider the fact that they're going to hold a lot of water. Add in sand, add in cinder, add in perlite, and just make the soil well draining. Otherwise, you are going to get root rot on your plant soon enough. So one thing to take care when you are working with the ceramic is either you use a plastic inner for your ceramics, or you make the soil very well draining, and then you use a ceramic pot. Also, bigger ceramic pots are very heavy to move around, so use a plastic pot inside the ceramic pot, because that kind of helps you move the plant around if you want to water it, if you want to change the soil, if you want to fertilize it, rather than just picking up this entire ceramic pot and then moving it around. That gets very tough to do. So you need to consider the fact that ceramics, the bigger the ceramic, the heavier the pot is. I hope this video is a little helpful to you. If you have any other question or queries, you can leave them in the comments below, and I'll get back to you soon. Hope to see you soon again with more plants, more flowers, more vegetables, and more fruiting plants. Till then, Sat Sri Akal.